Oi, Mum, you got any marmalade?
Well, it just so happens that I do have some marmalade, my love. I made some just for you. Well, hey y'all, it's Sharon from the blog southernbellahome.com, and I have a question for you today. Do you know what time it is? It's marmalade time! Yes, absolutely. It is marmalade time, y'all. The oranges are at their peak in Florida, and nothing goes better on some fresh, soft, homemade white bread or some delicious artisan sourdough that's all toasted and buttered than some wonderful orange marmalade. Do you love it like we do? Well, last year, along with a lot of other people, I was really thinking of everything I could think of to can and fill my pantry shelves. Things that we love, things that we really enjoy eating. And my son and I really love toast with marmalade. It's just, so good to us with a cup of coffee. And so I thought, I should really try that. That's one thing I have not tackled yet. But I wanted to do it with organic oranges. I wanted to try to do it with Florida oranges, but unfortunately I didn't think of it in time. Those oranges are normally at their peak between November and February. Well, even though I had missed that peak window for the Florida oranges, I thought I'll just go grab some oranges at the grocery store and make a batch of marmalade just to see if we like it. Just to see if it meets up to our standards of the marmalade that we normally enjoy. Well, my son and I really did enjoy it, and we ate it pretty quickly. I didn't make that big of a batch. So I was determined that this year I was going to catch the Florida oranges when they were in season and make some yummy marmalade. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I went on the hunt for some good organic oranges, and I had a little bit of trouble finding some pretty organic oranges, but in a neighboring town, I came across some at a store called Fresh Market, and they were huge. They were also really pretty oranges, and I could just tell from the skin they would be perfect. When it comes to fruit and vegetables that are fresh from the produce department at a store, I really do try to go organic. We grow a lot of our own fruits and vegetables, but when I do have to resort to a store to buy them, it's important to me to try to find things without pesticides. I looked over a lot of marmalade recipes before I decided on how I would make ours. There were recipes in old cookbooks that I came across, and there were also recipes online, and there were some similarities in some and some differences. Now, a lot of the recipes recommended that you chop your fruit and then soak it in water for a couple of hours to remove some of the bitterness from the peel. But to be honest with you, we kind of enjoy the bitter tang of that peel and the juxtaposition against the sweet syrup of the marmalade, so I chose to omit the step of soaking my oranges. You can feel free to soak your oranges and to eliminate as much of the bitterness as your taste buds prefer. So, every recipe recommends chopping your fruit to your desired size. Some recipes even recommended using a food processor, but I just imagined that while using a food processor, you would be much more likely to get mush. Instead, I used this serrated bread knife. It's the same knife that I choose to use when I'm slicing our homegrown tomatoes. I find that this knife keeps a very sharp edge, and I'm able to cut the pieces into just the size that I want. When you're deciding how large you want to cut the pieces of orange, think about how you want to bite into that marmalade when it's spread on a piece of toast. If you're like me, you don't want to bite into a big long piece of orange and have it string across your bread and clumsily fall off of your toast, but instead you want just the right little bite where you can taste that it's actually peel and get a little bit of that chew from the peel as it has gotten sugared in that syrup. I also highly recommend using one of these little scrapers. It made it so fast to get up all of the orange into the pot. And that's what I did. I went straight from the cutting board into my enamel-coated cast iron Dutch oven, and that is the pot that I used to make our marmalade. And these little dices are just the size that we like. Most all of the recipes called for 1 cup of sugar per orange. Now I know that sounds like a lot of sugar, but you have to remember this made a lot of marmalade. And it's going to be spread out when you're eating it, so you're not going to be eating a whole cup of sugar in one serving. But because of the fact that our oranges were so huge, I chose to do a little more than 1 cup per orange. I just didn't think that that was going to be enough to get to the sweetness level that we wanted. Also, I want to show you this old spoon that I use to make all of my jams and preserves. It's a handmade wooden spoon. It's probably about 2.5 feet long. You can tell it's very primitive. Somebody made it, and it's perfect for stirring all of my fruit. It keeps it far enough away from me that I don't get splattered. I stirred the oranges to get them completely coated in sugar, and then I allowed them to macerate in the sugar for about 2 hours. And this is what they look like when I put them on the stove. You can see that the juices of the orange have dissolved with the sugar for the most part, and now it's just a process of bringing this up to a boil to get those sugars to start thickening. Isn't that color just beautiful? In my opinion, eating orange marmalade is like putting sunshine in your mouth, especially on a cold winter day. To have a beautiful piece of bread with some of this golden goodness on it, I just don't know how you beat it. Now we have it up to a good boil, and this is where we're going to get the fruit tender. We're going to thicken that syrup, and really what I'm looking for is to see that these orange peels are becoming a little bit translucent, and I'm looking for a really good sticky coating on the back of my spoon. That's letting me know that this syrup is thickening up the way that I'm going to want it to be thick for that finished product. This is also when a lot of the moisture is going to evaporate, which is also what helps this to thicken up. Here you can see that the peels have mostly become translucent. The color has darkened a bit. A lot of the moisture has evaporated, and I think it's about time for us to put this in jars. It's been about 20 to 25 minutes, which can vary according to your oranges and the thickness you desire. While I had my marmalade boiling, I also had my jars being sterilized so that I could go directly from the pot into the jars. And here I have them all jarred up, and I'm wiping down the rims to make sure there's no sticky residue that can prevent my jars from sealing. Those sealed up jars went into the water bath canner on high for about 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes, I just turned off the heat and left the jars sitting in the pot, and when they came out, boy, it was worth it all. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed it and maybe are inspired to go try to find you some good old organic oranges and make you some marmalade. Get you some jars on your shelf so y'all can enjoy it on some good old hot butter toast like we do. I will be putting up a blog post about the marmalade of my recipe, so feel free to find your own recipe, or I will give a detailed blog post on how I went about making our marmalade. I really would appreciate it if you'd head over to the blog, southernbellahome.com, and sign up for our email list over there. And if you're not a subscriber here on my YouTube channel, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and comment and like. I'm really trying to grow my channel this year, and all help sure is welcome. I really appreciate it. So, until the next time we talk, keep home sweet, and may the good Lord bless and keep you. Talk to you later, friends. Bye.